So I had the opportunity to go to a leadership seminar this past week, and it was a leadership seminar by John C. Maxwell called Pay2Grow. And I was excited about it. I really was. I was really looking forward to getting into a room with other leaders that, from my perspective, really were focused on doing exactly what leaders should be doing, right? Leading people, connecting with people, understanding mentalities, ways of leading in a better capacity, all different sorts of things. I was super pumped about it. And as an introvert, I am not somebody who likes big crowds. In fact, going here was very, very scary for myself. I had tried to go last year with a couple buddies of mine and they weren't able to make it. And so this year I had gotten to those same buddies pretty early, hoping they would join me, but unfortunately they weren't able to come this year either. And so I wasn't going to go, but I knew me going was going to make me a little bit uncomfortable. And that was okay. I felt if I was going to be uncomfortable, that meant I was going to be growing a little bit. And that's ultimately what I want to do. I want to get into an environment where I can challenge myself, where I can grow a little bit, where I can be uncomfortable and even grow even more. And so this was one of those opportunities. So that morning we had a VIP breakfast with John Gordon, who is an author of The Energy Bus and The Power of Positive Leadership. I've read The Power of Positive Leadership. It's not bad. I didn't really latch on to really anything in the book that kind of like stood out to me. I'm not saying it was a bad book, and I love the title. I mean, Power of Positive Leadership. Positive leadership is something that I really do enjoy. It's something I live by day in and day out. And what was great about this session while we ate breakfast is he was up on stage and all he was doing is just answering questions. The other thing that I wanted to do is potentially get up and ask a question. I had thought about this. I was like, you know what? I would never get up in front of a room full of people. And there was probably maybe 50 people there. It wasn't a big crowd, but it was a good crowd. But I would never get up in front of 50 people in front of a mic and ask a question. And it's not to say that I'm not looking forward to that. It's just, to me, it seems really awkward. I would actually like to get into more public speaking because, again, it does make me a little uncomfortable. That could propel my own growth that much further if I was able to do that. And so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna get up in front of this crowd and I'm gonna ask a question. So just before I actually got up, there was somebody that jumped up in line and he actually asked the question that I was going to be really kind of wondering about. And it's when you get into an environment where you're a very positive leader and the people above you aren't as positive or are not as focused around growth and people as you would hope to be. And so I thought this was a pretty good question. It's pretty close to what I would have asked, but I really wanted to hear what John had to say. And it's not that he didn't say anything good. So when the gentleman asked the question, John responded with, what I would do is I would potentially give him my book, Power of Positive Leadership. And he said, I'm not trying to say that just so that I'm promoting my own book, but I've heard people say that. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, self-promotion is self-promotion, right? You've got a room full of people, you're an author, you're just trying to sell books, maybe a good opportunity. But then he was like, or what I would do is I would find a video or a snippet or something that shows positivity or growth, and I would send it to the leaders above me. That is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but I'll be honest with you, if people above you aren't positive or are toxic or have narcissistic tendencies, I find it hard to believe that just giving them a video or giving a book is going to really affect them. I've been a part of organizations where the leadership has given books out that they're reading that I've actually taken on as an opportunity to learn and grow. And after I'm reading the book, I've been like, did you actually read the book? I'm just making sure because the things that I'm reading in here, you don't live by. And so why are you promoting it? And so that's the thing is like, are you just promoting passages just because it sounds fancy? Or are you hoping that somebody takes away and applies something to their life and makes them better? I don't know. So there, like I said, there was nothing wrong with what he said. It just was a little bit too fluffy. And I would have wanted to hear a little more specific feedback that you would give. When you work for people that may not have the same viewpoint and they're trying to get different agendas through than yours, how do you handle that? And it's something that I've kind of wondered about. And that was kind of the question I was hoping that would be asked or that I would have asked was with so many of these leadership books and self-help books, people always talking that these books have sold millions and millions and millions and millions of copies. And I have yet to really work for an organization where many of these leaders have exuded a lot of these traits. And maybe I'm not looking hard enough. Maybe it's really hard to read these things and then apply them to your day-to-day life. I can look at myself and I can say, I don't feel so, because when I read a lot of books, there are certain things that I will latch onto that really excite me. One of the books I've read recently is Unreasonable Hospitality, and that book through and through, I connect with. And that is a lot to do with the restaurant and the service industry, which I'm not a part of, but the way that Will Guidara talks about how you can apply this to anything really made an impact on me. And there are things in there that I've actually put into practice in my own job, but there are so many different messages that you can take away from that book that really apply to pretty much any leadership capacity. So after breakfast, there was a book signing where you could get in line and get your book signed by John C. Maxwell. You know, I've read just about every John C. Maxwell book out there. I love them. I think they're fantastic. I think the premise behind all of the books is really good. It's a really positive message through and through. And so as the conference was starting, it was going to be both an in-person event as well as an online event. So you could get a virtual pass and you could actually watch the presentation live, which I thought was pretty cool. So as we were about ready to start the conference, Mark Cole, who is the CEO of Maxwell Leadership, sits down, which I thought was pretty cool. I mean, again, like, he was within earshot for me, and I've never really sat in front of and talked to, you know, a CEO of that capacity. So it was kind of interesting. It's kind of cool to be a part of that. So as the camera comes to him, he starts talking about where his journey is. Again, I know that him in the crowd is for dramatic purposes only. So he starts talking about his first opportunity to sit in this type of an event with John C. Maxwell, and he was all the way to the back, and that's where he sat. And he actually was able to get into a mentorship program with John and grow his own career. And the thing that stood out to me the most right away was what his goal was. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to grow your own salary. I think when you think about salary, those are the things that allow you to live comfortably, pay bills, things like that. I mean, money is important, don't get me wrong. Yes, I've wanted to grow, but money was never the thing that kind of pushed me. And so to hear that from the CEO in a leadership capacity from like John C. Maxwell, it was more like a very quick thought. I was like, that's weird. 10 times the salary, that's your goal. I would figure that somebody getting into the John C. Maxwell organization would be excited about leading people. But hey, you know what? That's fine. So he got on, he delivered his message, but most of his message talked about money and income. And the more he talked, the more that small little thought that I had before started to fester into something more. I was kind of like, I feel odd. Like, what is going on here? Maxwell Group has a mentorship program that you can pay into, and they will teach you coaching and mentoring and things of that nature. And one of the speakers' name was Pete Vargas, and I've never heard of him before. So, you know, I was kind of interested to see like where he had come from, but he really only wanted to talk about the mentorship program. And so he went through the 3 areas that you could work on: speaking, mentoring, and then one-on-one coaching. And again, like, it was not a bad message. It was just all about the money that you can make. And that's where I kind of got lost, because had I known that I was going to come there only be pitched this mentorship program that I could buy into, I probably would have skipped it and just done the virtual, or just not listened to it at all, because it really left a sour taste in my mouth. And again, it's not to say that the things that they were talking about were bad, but again, it's the way you deliver that message. When you're in a crowd of people and you say, who wouldn't want an extra $100,000 a year? Of course, everyone's going to be like hooping and hollering. I mean, I don't know of anybody else that you would ask that you would say, hey, would you like an extra $100,000 this year? And they would go like, you know what? I'm fine. I'm really good. I don't need it. No one's going to say no to that. And so the tactics they used, it's not to say that they were bad. I just didn't really agree with them that much. I didn't want to just listen to a speaker talk about these revenue streams and how much money you can make. Yes, I'm sure there's plenty of ways that you can go out there and make money. But even on like some of the splash screens that they had coming up as people were talking, they had 4 ways to increase your business. I'm going to tell everybody right now, there's not 4 easy anythings to do anything in this world. There isn't. Hard work, in my opinion, is the only thing that is going to make you better. When it comes to weight loss, when it comes to success, any of these things. It's not to say that you can't accidentally stumble into success. It can happen. But in the majority of things out there, you are not going to be just given this success. You've got to work really hard for it. Success to me is not a dollar sign. Success to me is impact, influence. Am I making people happier? Am I making people's lives better? I want to be able to help you and everyone around you build the happiness that I think everyone deserves. And if happiness is money, then maybe that message was great. But in all of the books that I have ever read from John Maxwell, nothing is ever really talked about when it comes to money. I can't even tell you a time that I can remember a snippet from one of his books that said money or was even focused around money. So hearing this really kind of took me by surprise. And as Pete was finishing his message around this mentorship program, he probably spent the last 5 to 10 minutes of a 20-minute speech talking about where you could sign up, what you could do, what you're going to get. And again, it's a common sales tactic. You get $8,000 worth of information and we're selling it to you at a low price of just $5,000 or $4,000. And Pete's time was just about over. We were about ready to go to lunch and there were people filing out of the room at the same time Pete was winding down his message. And this is where another piece kind of really took me by surprise. He was like, I guess people are ready for lunch. I totally get it. But are people really more interested about their stomach than they are about their wallet? I just didn't understand why he said that. It just didn't make sense to me. If people want to listen to your sales pitch, fine. If people aren't interested in this and they don't have any intentions on signing up for this program and they want to go to lunch, you know what? Let them go. You didn't have to really kind of say that. It almost felt like you were mocking them for leaving. And I don't think you should ever do that in any capacity. And again, it's a room full of people. It sounds really funny, but it's kind of really backhanded when you think about it. And I didn't really care for it that much. Most of the conference went very similar. They had other people from the Maxwell industry kind of come up and talk about it. A lot of it was geared towards the mentorship program and the things that you could do with it. So at first, when I started thinking about it, I actually got really upset. I was like, man, I can't believe that most of the conference was just this sales pitch or somewhat of a sales pitch. Where was the leadership talk? Where was the connections? Where was the people? Things of that nature. And so it really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And so I got a little upset, but then I actually kind of calmed myself pretty quickly. And I felt really good because I knew my purpose was about connecting with people and really being the best leader I possibly can be. Not for the money, not for the glamour, not for the fame, nothing like that. Just for the people. And I don't just sit here and say that to you so that you can look at me and go, wow, he's really vested in his people. I just want you to know that it's important for you to find your own purpose. What is it that you want to be able to do? I just want you to be able to look inside yourself and say, what is it that really drives me? If I could do anything right now, what would it be? And if it is making money, there's nothing wrong with it. And that's why I say, like, this whole conference was fine. I just wished that that was the message coming into it up front. But what I got was this message of like a day to grow, a day to learn, a day to better yourself. And I don't feel like I got that at all. Like, I did not leave the sessions thinking, you know what, I'm a better leader right now. Because it excites me to continue to be a better leader every single day. When I created this channel, the intentions that I wanted to make were to make people better. Not for any cost, not for any subscription service, nothing like that. I just want to help people out. That's just what I want to do. But anyone watching this video, again, this is not a bash against John Maxwell. It's not a bash against the Day to Grow. I just hope that in the future, any of these types of programs that exist really will kind of be upfront with what they're trying to accomplish with it. If it is this agenda of trying to sign up more people for some sort of program, perfectly fine with that. Anyways, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you go out and you really evaluate what your purpose is. Think about what you're currently doing in your day-to-day life. And again, not just from a career perspective, what do you really want to accomplish? It may not be your dream job, but it's a job that allows you to pay bills, get things done, whatever the case may be. But where does your passion lie? And make sure you are delivering enough time to that passion as well. Because you never know when that passion can turn into that position. And that, in itself, will make you happy. Thanks again. Please remember to hit that like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out. And also, elevating yourself to the next level starts with just a single step. Make sure you're taking that step today. We'll see you next time.